their idea is they're going to surround the capital, essentially. So Parliament, I don't know if they're talking about surrounding the whole of Ottawa. Like there's 50,000 trucks, so I don't know.
Yeah,
but I know at the very least, like Parliament, they're going to Parliament. They're gonna like surround essentially, and that's where they're gonna start the protest. But look what Mr. Trudeau all of a sudden.
Did he leave the country?
Yeah. Did you know what happened?
No.
Oh, he said suddenly he came in contact with someone with COVID, and he's in a 5-day quarantine.
That's hilarious.
They told him to disappear, man. And he went, "Oh yes, please."
Yeah.
So yeah, just in time for this.
Yeah. So this is they're opposed to the vaccine mandates because the vaccine they're trying to force truckers. Canada wants to force truckers coming into Canada to be vaccinated, and that's horrible because one, now we know that the vaccine mandates in the States got shut down, but two, we get so much of our stuff from the States, you know, like
they're also saying too, like truckers, like they're basically hermits, man. They're fucking hermit crabs. They're in a cab all day.
Yeah, they got their shell.
Yeah, you're wearing a mask and you're vaccinated. What are you worried about a trucker coming and doing whatever? He goes to a loading dock. He's received by one person essentially, and then goes fuck back in his truck. Like why?
Yeah, but this is a resources thing too. This is your.
It's nonsensical, though.
You know, in times of supply chain shortages, you know, out of control inflation. There's fewer stuff on the shelves in the grocery stores.
These are our champions.
Yeah, like we need these people more than like
they're always our champions, right? And they're the unsung heroes.
They make society go round. You know, the truckers, the farmers, the mechanics,
all the fucking heroes, all the heroes in early 2020 and mid 2020 are now the pariahs.
Yeah,
it's now all suddenly their heroic work is no longer heroic.
Let's read this article to get some of the details now. A convoy of Canadian truckers and their supporters began arriving in Ottawa on Friday to protest a federal government vaccine requirement for cross-border truckers and other coronavirus public health measures. As police warned of social media actors inciting violence and lone wolf individuals seeking to disrupt it, that wouldn't surprise me, given how insane people are for the vaccines. Mm-hmm. I hope to God nothing happens, and this is a peaceful protest, and no one interferes with it. You can have counter protesters, sure, do it peacefully.
I think it'll be.
Don't resort to terrorism.
I think it'll be mostly peaceful.
That doesn't have good implications.
No, I think it'll be. It's a Canadian protest.
I don't want Ottawa to burn to the ground.
Hey, it's a Canadian protest. Like, what do? We don't do shit.
They're probably I don't know, man. Already. Did you see Vancouver when the Canucks fucking lost the Stanley Cup?
Overturning cars and shit.
We riot for hockey, all right?
Yeah, that's true.
Listen, if the Leafs don't win tomorrow night, who the hell knows what's going to happen down in Ottawa?
That's true.
Up in Ottawa, I guess, from here. Both Canada and the United States announced last year that they would require truck drivers entering their respective countries to be fully vaccinated. Canada implemented its measures on January 15th, while the U.S. requirements started on January 22nd. Most cross-border trade between the two countries occurs over land. That would make sense considering it's
isn't the new variant on the drop too?
I don't know.
I think it is. I'm pretty sure it is.
Pay attention to that anymore.
I thought it was. I thought I read something where it was saying it was majorly dropping.
It's supposed to be. That's why they're talking about.
Well, they predicted a pretty.
Well, they're walking away. They're walking away from all the.
Oh, I'm saying those anybody in the know sort of predicted a dark January and potentially early February, but then it's going to die off, just like the cold and flu season, right? Yeah. But anyways, so this is the time that they're picking.
Convoy size is unclear, and most of it is expected to arrive Saturday.
Yeah.
Polls show vaccine mandates enjoy broad support here. Some 90% of Canadian truckers are vaccinated. According to the transport minister, the Canadian Trucking Alliance said it doesn't support protests on public roadways, highways, and bridges. That's something you kind of have to say.
No, but this is the funny thing, though, too. A lot of these truckers that are in this protesting are vaccinated.
Yeah.
They're protesting. This is what they like to say.
They're not protesting the vaccine.
Of course they're not.
They're protesting
choice
authoritarianism.
And choice.
Yeah.
Freedom of autonomy,
yeah,
body
that's the thing.
autonomy on yourself, like whatever you want.
I mean, ultimately, they're standing up. These are the real anti-fascists in our society. Are these truckers?
Yeah.
Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, I guess, if someone listening to this doesn't know that.
I think that was here actually. I think that picture's from here. I think that picture's
look,
from Centennial.
Yeah, that's why.
I'm pretty sure it's from Centennial.
Very familiar.
Yeah.
It's probably labeled actually. People rally. Oh, that's in Vaughan.
Oh, that's Vaughan. Oh,
I mean, to be fair,
they did the same thing over in Centennial.
But Prime Minister Justin Trudeau dismissed the convoy as a fringe minority. It's breaking records.
Yeah. It's not breaking. It's broken.
It has broken records.
It has the Guinness World Book of World Records for longest trucker convoy or something like that.
This is just a weird line. It has drawn support from several federal Conservative Party lawmakers, Donald Trump Jr. and Tesla founder Elon Musk.
Yeah, he's been tweeting
a known
about
opponent of vaccine mandates. Some Canadians have gathered on highways, on highway overpasses to cheer the convoy on. Now, this is respectable to the Washington Post because I know they're very, insane
left-leaning
lefty types over there, but at least they say opponent of vaccine mandates and not opponents of the vaccine.
That's
because at least they're being honest here.
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't shock me if they just said that they were against the vaccine, period. As it has approached Ottawa, officials have warned of disruptions. Analysts have raised concerns that what might have ostensibly started out as a protest against vaccine mandates has garnered support from people with a host of other grievances. Conspiracy theorists, far-right agitators, and anti-government types. I love how those are just all lumped together. Like all of those words are nonsense, except maybe the anti-government types. Maybe that's specific enough to get a group of people. Far-right, what's a far-right agitator? They would call Joe Rogan a far-right agitator. Conspiracy. What's a conspiracy theorist? Oh, well, do you think the government's not necessarily looking out for your best interests? And you're a conspiracy theorist. And could devolve. The head of security for the House of Commons advised lawmakers that some members of the convoy were seeking their addresses. I hope that's not true. Ottawa police say they're preparing for risks, including counter-demonstrations, blocking of intersections, interfering with critical infrastructure, and unlawful and violent activity. Now, that could happen.
Well, of course it could. You get enough people. I hate when they say stuff like that. Duh, yeah. Thanks. You get 50,000, 100,000, 200,000 people anywhere. Yeah, shit can happen.
Yeah.
Like, of course. It's stupid. They're trying to delegitimize what they're doing by saying it could be violent and then getting people up against it. But they're not going to win in this case because I know a lot of people that are for this are happy about it. The only thing they're unhappy about is what you said earlier about maybe disruption of people's lives. Right, like you're driving home from work yesterday.
It takes you an hour to get home from work. Your 20-minute drive takes you an hour, 2 hours.
An hour would have been more like 5 hours probably.
Some people probably.
Yeah, but again, I think a lot of people would understand and be like, okay, this one time, this is something that we kind of need to stand together about.
Yeah. The organizers have advised us that this will be a peaceful demonstration. Ottawa Police Chief Peter Slawley said at a news conference Friday, but he added that police are aware of social media actors in Canada and abroad inciting violence and criminality. And that happens always at all fucking things that go on. Yep. We do not know all of the parallel demonstrations that may occur and or the lone wolf individuals who may insert themselves into the mix for various reasons, he said. He added that so far the demonstrations have been peaceful. There you go. According to the Canadian Anti-Hate Network, that's a very communistic thing to exist, several of the convoy's organizers and amplifiers are not truckers, but members of far-right groups. So they mean the Liberals here.
Yeah, sure.
Not the Liberal Party, the actual Liberals.
Liberal people,
some participants have called for a January 6th type moment online, according to local media. Oh, great. Okay. People, so they're going to be let into the House of Parliament and walk around and take dumb social media pictures, exactly. And that'll be the end of it. Is that what they're advocating for?
Yeah, the FBI are gonna get their agitators there. And
is the FBI gonna be there? I really hope not, because that would be. I feel like that'd be an act of war, wouldn't it?
Yeah. It's an act of what's that called when another country is meddling with another country's political.
I mean, an act of aggression.
No, I think there's a term for it.
Interference.
No, I think there's something. I'm pretty sure there's a word for it.
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. I'm sure I've heard. I thought I heard it when they were talking about Russia with the U.S.
A GoFundMe campaign organized by Tamara Litch, a former regional coordinator for Wexit, a movement pushing for Alberta to separate from Canada. I didn't know that was a thing.
I didn't either.
Yeah, had raised $7.2 million as of Friday afternoon. The page says the mandates are destroying the foundations of our businesses, industries, and livelihoods.
Okay, I gotta rephrase. I did know that there was talk about Alberta becoming its own sort of thing.
Right.
I don't know, like just like Quebec when they were talking about separating from Canada, but I didn't know there was a thing called Wexit that actually like somehow formed into a thing. I knew that there was talk for a while because realistically, if you look at like when the height of like oil and gas and all that kind of stuff, when it's really what's the word I'm looking for? When it's really being produced a lot in Alberta, like fuck man, that's a really, really, really rich province.
Rich area.
Yeah, so it's like
a lot of oil.
Yeah, there's talk about. There's always been talk about the fact that Ontario has like 38% or something of the population of Canada total in Ontario. And
it's not just in Ontario; it's all like in southern Ontario. Right. Like it's all like along
from like basically Barrie down.
Where we are. Yeah,
Barrie
it's
down.
Basically the vast majority is out here.
But anyways, what I'm saying is,
I kind of want to go to the top, just live there.
I know, right?
It's like most of Ontario is like a national park, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Like just go to the middle of that.
Look how big fucking Algonquin Park is.
No one will know I'm there.
You know how big Algonquin Park is, man?
Huge.
Massive. It's fucking massive. Well, it takes from here to the border of Manitoba to drive 21 hours.
Jesus.
That's about the same as from here to Florida.
That's huge.
Isn't that fucking crazy? That's how long it takes you to get there. That's how big this fucking province is. This province is basically like, I think Ontario would be the size of maybe, I don't know, if you look on a map, you'd have to look at probably a quarter of the states or something like that. It's crazy. It's crazy how fucking big it is. But anyways. Yeah. So I love it. I was so, I don't know, I felt a lot of pride when I saw that they were doing this.
Yeah.
I'm not really an activist type, nor I don't think you are. I'm not really the type to like go get in my car and be like, hey, I'm gonna like me and a bunch of guys. But I would support it with money. I would support it with money. I would support it with like if I had a bigger platform.
If it came to that, you had to say something.
Yep, absolutely. I'm an open supporter of it. I think it's fantastic. I love what they're doing.
Yeah, some of these things, like for me, if they came, obviously this is a extreme scenario, but if they came to me at my job and they're like, you have to denounce this thing or you're fired, I would walk.
Yeah, I think I would too.
I'd just walk. I'd be like, no.
Yeah, I think I would too.
I can't.
I think I'd just look at him and say, all right, cool. Listen.
Awesome. I'm going to go home now.
Yeah, you're going to need to fire me without cause and give me proper thing because I'm basically going to sue you, just so you know, for wrongful dismissal because you can't tell me what I.
Yeah, it was just it is a little bit strange. I mean, I think it speaks to sort of the what would you call it? The logos of Canadians, or the ethos of Canadians. The ethos of Canadians. I know what I mean. Yeah. Where it's Canada's not a free country. It just isn't. Like. It doesn't come up a lot, but there are so many like laws in play. Like there was a comedian that got fined like $30,000 for making a joke. You get we have a what is it, the Civil Rights Commission or something that's like just really, really communistic in nature.
We don't have the same First Amendment as the States.
No, we don't have the rights that the United States have at all. No. Like on paper, I mean, the Canadian.
Like you can be sued. The Canadian Charter, be sued for saying certain things.
Yeah, but the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms does outline a lot of the same stuff as the Constitution. It just isn't.
It's not as.
It doesn't. It's not as rigid as a thing, but it doesn't come up a lot. There really aren't. Even though maybe there are a lot of instances where people could get arrested, sued, fined, put in jail. They don't unless the government really doesn't like you for it. Just doesn't happen.
It happened in Rebel News.
And so this is kind of
Rebel News got sued a few times.
Yeah, which is but
that was the Trudeau.
You have stuff like this coming up where it's like, Canadians are, I think they're mostly just living their lives, and they're not really paying attention to the fact that the government is eroding their rights. And then when it kind of comes up in a serious way like this, that gets them out of their house.
This is what I was saying, actually. I agree with you completely. I think I think this sums up Canada. We're very polite. Mm-hmm. We're very amicable. We don't like to. We're not like protesting types. But if you fucking back us into a corner, watch out. And people unite very, very, very well in this country. If you have a protest or a movement or something that's just, people will get on board that like crazy, and they'll get on it fervently. Mm-hmm. Like they will put their money behind it. They will all kinds of things. Like you saw that with even
people will put their lives.
They will,
at risk.
Like you saw that with that guy, that Adam dude, that barbecue. What was his name? Adam. Did you hear about this? This was early. This was like last year at some point.
I did not.
Some barbecue place in like Toronto somewhere. Anyways, he was trying to fight the closures, and he opened against the mandates or whatever and such. And anyway, so they Adamson Barbecue. That's what it was. Adamson something, whatever.
Okay.
Anyway, so he but then they started a GoFundMe for him. And I think it generated in the first like couple of days like $300,000 or something like that. It paid for all his legal fees, essentially. Like his legal fees.
That's good to see.
Yeah, I even donated to it, and it wasn't. I don't think anything of the guy, or I don't care. Like I don't know him or any of that, but I just support he made one basic argument: his right to feed his family, his right to earn money. And like I said this early in the pandemic, I'm like, look.
We just turned on Alexa.
It's so weird though. It's across the room, and that's creepy as fuck.
Yeah, no, Alexa's always listening to you. Yeah, why do you even have one of those?
Why the hell would that even turn on?
Because it's listening. It wants to know what we're talking about. We're talking about
it's got hey on the screen. Hey.
Hey, how are you? Hey, Alexa.
Hey.
We should bury that thing. Get it out of here.
Yeah, I don't know what we said that thing turned it on.
Started talking about this, and government started listening in. Yeah. Make sure we're not planning something.
It's fucking creepy.
Yeah.
But anyways, so I just agreed with that one premise, and I was like, hey, you know what? I think we should help this guy, right? Mm-hmm. First guy getting burned, right? So, anyways, but that's why I like Canadians that way. Like, as much as I hate them for not being a little bit more. Have a little more fight when maybe we should. When it really comes down to it, they do.
Yeah.
Truck you, Trudeau.
It's kind of funny.
Somebody had what was it? Truck Trudeau or something like that.
Trudeau.
Something like that. I forget what it was. People have been playing with the words. Yeah, I just I'm curious to see what it does. I hope it does something. Hope it's not just inconveniencing a bunch of people for a couple days on the highways. And they don't back off. Like they actually
get some push.
They actually get a little pushback.
Do something.
I'm just not a big believer in the power protests anymore. Like they have a lot of power in Europe. Because it's like,
do they?
Oh yeah, they still do.
Are you sure?
Oh, well, why?
Look at what France is doing.
Yeah, but they'll still do it. Like people are still
I know
protesting like crazy,
and nothing's happening.
Well, not yet.
Insane for the last 2 years. There's been an insane.
I know, but not yet.
Protest.
But they have a culture over there.
Yes, once they behead the aristocracy, then we might they might get somewhere.
They've had a culture over there, a protest culture for a long time, right? Where we don't really say shit with a mouthful over here. We just kind of shut up.
I think a lot of that too, though, is they France has been France for what, a couple thousand years. Like I don't know how far does it go back before it was like a part of the
French
Romans
Empire
or something.
French Empire had their own time. Mm-hmm. So the Spanish, so did the English.
They all
had their own time.
And there's shifting borders and everything.
Well, that's why you get Saint Martin's French.
I guess that isn't even all that important. Over there, you have these established infrastructure that's been around for thousands of years. Sure, yeah. Over here,
we're in our infancy,
right? So I think for a lot of the history of Canada and the United States, there just was, if you didn't like something, you could just go somewhere else because there's all this land to expand into. Now we're at a point where we got everything covered for the most part. Like there are places we can go as a society sort of build up in areas, but it's not what it was. And I think that that culture of building something up, especially given that in the early days, it would have been really, really hard.
Do you mean the population in Canada? You're saying
not just the population, the infrastructure that exists.
I was going to say, because Canada is so underpopulated. It's crazy.
Right. Because at first, but I'm talking about like at first you have, a few hundred people in certain pockets on the coast, and then more come and they build up infrastructure, and then it's really just like the East Coast is where everyone, and then they move outward and they sort of build colonies as they go. And there's this sort of this culture of hardship that gets built up over a couple hundred years as what is now the United States and Canada gets built up. And then
the weird thing that happened in Canada though was like, other than the West coastline, really the East coastline is kind of sparsely populated. Like you look at like PEI or Nova Scotia or New Brunswick, or not New Brunswick, Newfoundland. Newfoundland. They're not really all that populated, right?
Yeah.
The West is a little different. I mean, there's pockets of the West that are very populated, but you look down in the States and it's like that's where all the population are, all on the coasts, right? But yeah, and I know what you're saying. I think part of it too with that is it's the time period, but it's like the amount of time that each of us been a country, like the U.S. and Canada have been countries. But it's also the fact that
it's not even just about them being countries, because that's kind of what I was alluding to, like, because all in Europe the borders have been fucking shifting and different for thousands of years, right? But you have the same places is where people were. The infrastructure exists, and they were just building on top of older stuff. Or here it was nothing. Right. It was just you had the natives here, but they didn't have they were pretty nomadic. They were moving around a lot, so there wasn't like a lot of structure, and so it was basically just empty land. And we come to just a big, huge area of empty land and build it up.
We're just basically like we're almost like an overflow for the UK. That's basically what Canada was or is,
or the British Empire.
That's
maybe
more
the specifically, because they're not necessarily
I'm saying the UK now,
but back feeble and weak
back in the day, but that's why I was surprised.
Well, in a very real way, it was overflow too, because people came here because they were fleeing the sort of tyranny that was going on in the British Empire.
No, but there was also, with the U.S. When the U.S. were in their Civil War, essentially too, there was a lot of loyalists that came up to Canada too, right? So kind of that's where I'm surprised. I'm actually surprised that we have such a good border with the States, considering when you look back at the history of Canada and the U.S. and like the War of 1812 and shit.
I think it's
prior to the Civil War and stuff.
I think culturally we're the same. Like we're all from the same place, and so I think we can fight, but then we can get. It's like the Scots and the Irish.
And it's the largest unmanned border in the world, right?
Yeah.
So like you have to. You got to fucking play nice in the sandbox.
Well, you got two rich nations,
and then you play nice in the sandbox, right?
Yeah.
And realistically, let's be honest, we're just basically a state of the United States, like
practically.
Like
I would support a merger.
I'd be fine with it. I don't care either way.
I don't think it would. I don't know.
I don't have like this
mostly because I want to have the rights of an American citizen.
I don't have this over pride of like Canada as a nation. I'm like, hey,
it's the same culture. It's the same culture. Like the difference between the culture here where we are and the culture in say Buffalo, which is
the same,
an hour drive from here. It's the same.
It's the exact same. Right? Go to Michigan. It's the same.
And so the variation between here and BC is the same as like the variation between in New York State and Vermont or something, or Texas, right? Like
there's people that are very close.
There's variation, but it's small and it's subtle and it's not huge overlapping. It's not like the difference between here and Italy.
Go to North Dakota or something and see how fucking nice the people are there.
Yeah,
it's just like Canada. Like anybody who says
a lot of those places are colder than
Montana,
than here,
they're just as nice, man. You go through these states, you wouldn't even know. If you didn't know you were in the States, like because every 10 seconds you see a flag. There's a lot of patriots that way, like patriotic people. But at the same time, you wouldn't know, other than that little strange, maybe a little strange accent they have. But other than that, you'd think you're fucking in some part of Canada. They're just as nice. So it's funny when they always say that Canadians are so nice.
Yeah.
They just say the northern states and Canada.
Yeah, basically that's basically it.